All right, are we about ready?
We are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our monthly NJBIA Sales and Marketing Roundtable. And let me introduce the fabulous Kate Conroy.
Thank you so much, fabulous Donna Miller. Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association Sales and Marketing Roundtable. We at NJBIA are thrilled to have helped in the creation of this amazing group led by such amazing women. For those of you who are new to NJBIA, we are the largest statewide business association in the nation, representing about 1/4 of all New Jersey employees. And we offer customer development opportunities, visibility through events, magazine ads, or our podcast and TV shows, and money-saving discounts on stuff you're probably already paying for, like payroll, healthcare, a 401k solution, and 24/7 HR support. I am Kate Conroy, and if you're interested in more info on us, I'll drop the website into the chat along with my contact info. Feel free to be in touch and we can get you whatever you need. And with that, I will now toss it over to the marvelous Vicki Hart.
I've caught it. Thank you, Kate. It's great to see you and it's great to be here. Hello, everyone. I'm Vicki Hart, Director of Client Engagement at Paradigm Marketing and Design. And we are an award-winning strategic agency. And we specialize in working with businesses with a complex sale and make sales teams more effective and efficient. How do we do it? We do it through websites as marketing tools, strategy, and workflow. How do we become even better at what we do? Well, this is a perfect opportunity to introduce our first sponsor, Sandler Training. I can't say enough about Sandler Training. I myself am a graduate. My entire team are Sandler graduates. And just recently, I just did a refresher course, and holy cow, did it really help me up my game. Our close rate went from 40% to 70% through Sandler. So I know, Kate, absolutely huge results. So if you haven't considered Sandler before, definitely reach out to our sponsor, Cal Thomas. I am grateful for all that Sandler has done for me and for our business. So, it's an investment that you make in your business and your own personal success. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Kim Luthi, Director of Wealth Planning at Synthesis Wealth. I've known Kim for years, and she is truly a client advocate for one's financial health. Recently, Kim and I were talking, as we often do, with a nice glass of wine. She was sharing something that I thought was really impactful. Kim has a client who implemented a disability income policy when she was in her early mid-20s. I mean, that's really forward thinking. I wasn't even thinking of disability when I was in my 20s. But when that client turned 37, she delivered her first child, which there were complications, and she was on disability for 2.5 years. Those monthly funds from that policy allowed her continue to pay her bills and prepare for her future and the future of her children. If it wasn't for that policy, she would have been fully exposed. And now she's able to fulfill the promises to her and her family. Just an amazing success story. Kim has helped many women and their families to prepare for success and successfully attain the life they deserve. So if you are not thinking about this, you might want to be. So that we are grateful for Kim and for her support. And just a little highlight for next month, but Donna's going to share with you more about our speaker for our next roundtable. But it's very exciting, Dr. Terry Wu, about outsmarting your competition with neuromarketing. This is a live-only event next month, so you are not going to want to miss it. What does that mean? We are not recording it. It is live. So please make sure that you mark your calendars on the 3rd Tuesday of next month. So Donna, that is it for me. You are up, my friend.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Thank you, Vicki. So I am Donna Miller. I am Chief Visionary Officer, thank you, Simon Sinek, of C3 Workplace, where we provide space and support to help companies start and grow. I'm also the principal at Donna Miller Business Growth Consulting. And if you've got a business that's running you instead of the other way around, or maybe you're the only one selling in your organization, or probably my favorite, you can't see an exit door. let's schedule a call and see how we can up-level your business to get you from where you are, where you really want to be, which is probably where you set out to be initially. And somehow, maybe not you, maybe it's just the thousands of other business owners I know, you got a little derailed along the way. I can help. So delighted to be here, and also really thrilled to welcome Dan Gingiss to the stage. Dan is an international keynote speaker. He's a customer experience coach, and he's spent 20 years delighting clients in marketing roles, social media roles, customer service roles. He's performed those amazing feats at McDonald's, Humana, and at Discover, he won the coveted J.D. Powell Customer Service Award. He is a busy man, so I'm so thrilled he could be here. He is host of the Experience This podcast, the Focus on Customer Service podcast. He is a regular contributor to Forbes magazine. He is on, I don't know how many top 50 lists. The guy's unbelievable. And because I did just finish reading The Experience Maker, which I highly recommend you all read, and I'm so excited about today's presentation. I also happen to know that he is a lifelong Chicago Cubs fan, a licensed bartender, and a pinball wizard. I'm thinking that's self-proclaimed, Dan, but join me in welcoming Dan to the stage. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much, Donna, Kate, Vicki, thank you very much. What a great introduction. Hello, New Jersey and NJBIA. Super excited to be here. We're going to have some fun today, so buckle up and let's get started here. All right, today we're going to talk about how to make customer experience your competitive differentiator, and why I believe, even after 20 years of marketing in corporate America, that customer experience is the best kind of marketing. I'm going to share with you some techniques for how to create the kinds of experiences that get people talking about you. Because when other people talk about you, it sounds so much better. Right? Isn't it great when Donna says my book is awesome versus me having to tell you my book is awesome? It is awesome, by the way, but it sounded a whole lot better when Donna said it. So let's start with some statistics that might surprise you. Any idea how many blog posts there are published on the internet every single day? It's pretty high. It is more than 6 million new blog posts. How about tweets? Oh boy, those numbers are getting even bigger. We're talking 500 million tweets every single day. And do not get me started on email. I know we're all guilty of this, but every single day there are more than 258 billion emails sent. Now, this is our competition in marketing. This is what our prospects are seeing all over the place. In fact, to them, it sort of looks like an archery target. There's a whole lot of holes in it. And, some of that marketing hits the bullseye, but frankly, not much. And this doesn't even account for the marketing that misses the target entirely. So think about that. This is what you're competing, think about this is what you're competing against with your marketing. And let's talk about maybe doing something different. Instead of focusing so much on chasing new prospects, what if instead we just focused on our existing customers? The ones that pay our paychecks, that keep the lights on, that are the reason for being in business. I argue that customers are our single greatest asset. Without customers, we do not have a company. That's why they're even more important than employees, which are pretty darn important. But if we don't have customers, there is no business. So why do we spend so much time trying to acquire new ones, but we don't pay any attention to the ones that are already here? If we do this better, we can become like this guy, who on the back of the truck says our clients are our best salespeople. Isn't that what we all want? Don't we all want more referrals? We all want more people talking about us and getting us new business, because it means we don't have to work as hard in sales or marketing. So how do we get there? Well, first of all, we have to understand what kinds of experiences do people share. Now, it turns out that they share on both ends of the spectrum. People love to share really great positive experiences. They also love to complain about really bad negative experiences. Do you know what people don't share? What my millennial friends call meh. Let me tell you about the perfectly average restaurant I went to last night. Said nobody ever. We don't share average or ordinary experiences. We share really good and really bad. So which would you like people sharing about? As it turns out, 30% of consumers say that they would post a negative review or leave a negative comment on social media after a bad experience. But the good news is that nearly 50% of consumers say the same thing about a positive experience, which means that consumers are more willing to share positive experiences than negative ones. So what's our problem? Well, for that, we're going to take a pause and actually pop up a poll question. I'd like you to tell us, do you remember the last time that a brand exceeded your expectations? Now, all you have to say is yes or no. But if your answer is yes, I would love for you to put in the comments which brand it is. It could be any brand. When I do this, I love to see the diversity of brands. There's certainly ones that always come up: Amazon, Disney, Starbucks, brands that people just love across the world that continue to provide great experiences. But there's also local companies and local brands that I love to hear. In fact, feel free to give a shout out to a New Jersey company if you'd like. All right, I don't see the poll, and maybe that's because I'm presenting. So I'm just going to keep moving on. I'm assuming that there we go. There's the poll. Thank you so much.
Hi, Van. I had to relaunch it.
No, no worries. Okay, everybody, please, if you could just answer yes or no. Simple question. If you do answer yes, feel free to leave a brand name in the comments. We'll get to those later. But do you remember the last time a brand exceeded your expectations? We're going to keep this up for just another moment while I remind you that what we just learned is that consumers are more willing to share positive experiences than negative ones. You might be able to sense the problem here, but let's see what our audience came up with. All right, I'm not seeing the results.
There we
Are
go.
they?
There you go.
There we go. Okay, actually, this is really interesting. You've got 63% of your audience saying that they remember the last time a brand exceeded their expectations, which is amazing. And again, please leave in the comments the company. Here's the problem. In the general population, that is not true. In fact, in the general population, 66% of people say they can't remember. So almost the reverse of what we saw in this audience. So that presents a huge opportunity for us, right? Because we can be that company that exceeds expectations and that provides that positive experience. And we know that people want to talk about it. So we just got to give them the right kind of experience. Because what customers are asking for, they want their lives to be easier. They want things to be simple. They want to be understood on a personal level, not on an account number level. But what they're getting is this feeling that they have a bad online experience, that their loyalty is not returned, and that they don't feel special in any way. They feel like any other customer with no personalization. So there's clearly this disconnect between what customers want and what customers are getting. Why does all of this matter? This is a study that was done by Watermark Consulting that looked at the Forrester Customer Experience Index, one of the premier lists that you want to be on if you are great at customer experience. And yes, at Discover, we got on this list a number of times. They looked at a span of 13 years of the public companies that were on the list. And you can see that the CX leaders far outperform the market and the CX laggards are far behind the market. What I think is most interesting is that the leaders outperform the laggards by 3 times. Now, it's okay if you're not a public company, but remember that although lots of other things contribute to stock prices, the number one thing is profitability. And we can make the connection between customer experience and profitability so that we can demonstrate that ROI. All right, how do we create these experiences? Okay, Dan, I'm sold. We need to create more positive experiences. Tell me how. Well, I want you to use my WISE approach. And WISE stands for witty, immersive, shareable, and extraordinary. I'm going to go through each of these in turn and share some real life examples of companies that are putting this in action and doing it in a way that you can do it as well. In fact, because I spent so much time in corporate America and I know how difficult it is to get things done, every example that I have selected goes through 3 filters. They're simple, practical, and inexpensive. So I'm not going to tell you to go hire Beyonce for a private concert and fireworks show for your customers, even though that would be amazing. It would certainly fall under the extraordinary, probably shareable and immersive as well. But nobody's got $20 million laying around to go do that. So these are all going to be simple, practical, and inexpensive examples that you too can do in your business. Now let's start with being witty. Witty is not being humorous. Humor, as we know, especially in marketing, can be dangerous. Something that one person finds funny, another person might find offensive. It's a dangerous game. Certain companies do it really, really well. I'm looking at you, Wendy's and Taco Bell, but probably Wendy's and Taco Bell are not on this session, and therefore you probably don't have that same permission. That's okay. Witty is about being clever, using language to your advantage, and refusing to be boring. I don't care what industry you're in, even if you think you're in a boring industry, and it may be a boring industry, it doesn't mean it has to be boring. So choose to not be boring. Let's look at some examples. This is one of my favorite signs. It's on the side of a building in downtown Manhattan, not too far from you guys. We are probably the lowest priced in the city. Oh my gosh, don't you just love this company already? They've got a sense of humor. They're honest because they're saying probably, right? It's that one word that they added to the sign that makes it memorable. What I think is fascinating is we don't even know what business they're in yet, but I'm already intrigued. I'm already interested. They've reeled me in already. It turns out it's a shoe store, but it really doesn't matter. It could be any company at all. Where do you have signage in your business? It may not be physical signage. It might be digital signage. Let me show you some more examples. This is Phil's Coffee. We'll go to the other side of the country in San Francisco. Now, Phil's knows that people are standing in line for their very popular coffee. So instead of just wait here, they have this fun sign with a smiley face that says, "You're up next, hang tight." This sign says to me that when I get to the front of the line, I'm going to be treated like the most important customer of the day. Look in your business for places that you're making people wait. They may not be waiting in line. They may be waiting for a decision that you're giving them. They may be waiting for an email or a letter in the mail, or they might be waiting on hold for customer service. How do we make waiting more interesting? In fact, I recently heard a story that in Orlando at Universal Studios, people are actually getting in line at some of the rides in Harry Potter World with no intention of riding the ride. The reason is because the line itself is an experience. You get to walk through Hogwarts Castle. You get to see the animatronic characters. You get to see the moving images on the picture frames on the wall, just like in the movie. Literally, the waiting in line part, which is sometimes 45 minutes to an hour, is such an experience that people are getting to the front of the line and then just leaving. They don't want to go on the line, or excuse me, they don't want to go on the ride. That is amazing. What can we do in our business about people waiting? In Marshall's, when you go into the dressing room, they have a little bit of fun with their hooks. Who knew you could have fun with hooks? Possibly, definitely, and my favorite, tomorrow, right? Not, I don't like this, or this isn't for me, it's just tomorrow. Somebody took some time to add some cleverness to this experience. And no, I didn't expect an experience in the dressing room at Marshall's, but man, it's nice when you get one. In fact, they might be selling some Travis Mathew clothing at Marshall's. I don't know, but if they do, take a look at their tag right there at the beginning. It starts in the same font. It starts with "People actually read these tags?" ? I love it. I imagine all the people that are standing in their closet or in their bedroom, and they're about to put on this shirt, and they take a look at the tag, and they have a smile on their face, and they think of Travis Mathew because of it. So building it right into the product is genius. Why use this universal bathroom sign at your place of business that everybody recognizes when you could be like Sushi-san restaurant in Chicago that uses this international sign that everybody recognizes? It's not like we don't know what it means. But man, isn't it great to have something a little bit different and something that is going to make us smile? And I love that Sushi-san decided we're not going to look like every single restaurant in the entire world. My friend Marquesa Petway, she's such a wonderful woman. She's a coach to speakers like me, and she teaches us how to create additional revenue streams besides from speaking. When you join her program, go to her website, you see this amazing picture of her that really shows off her personality. But then at the bottom, you see that button that says, log in, darling. Now, if you know Marquesa, you know that this is absolutely her and her personality. Nobody else could pull this off, but that's what I love about it. And it's just a button. Now, I'm no coder, but I can go into WordPress and change the words on a button. It is easy. Who says that every login button just has to say login? Show some personality and people will remember you for it. Mint Dentistry decided that going to the dentist doesn't have to be boring. This is their homepage. We make sexy teeth. Now, I don't know about you, but when I look at this picture, I say to myself, if this is what my dentist is going to look like, sign me up for a cleaning, maybe even a root canal. Now, yes, people have commented to me that no one in this picture is actually smiling and showing their teeth. I have no idea why, but to me, it makes the picture even more enjoyable. But look at these beautiful people and look at this beautiful picture. And tell me whether it makes you think of going to the dentist. Not at all. And that's why it is brilliant. Another brilliant item came into my mailbox. I don't know if you got this all the way out in New Jersey, but in Chicago, we did the official 2019, not at all what you thought, state travel guide of Nebraska. Now, I have to be honest with you, I hadn't really thought about going to Nebraska. I was sort of intrigued by this photo on the front of the family paddling down a river in what looks like a metal bathtub. But what really got me was at the bottom there, you see that outline of Nebraska? Let me blow that up for you. It says, Nebraska, honestly, it's not for everyone. Now, show of hands, who wants to go to Nebraska now? Because I sure do. They have absolutely captured my attention because I now know that the entire state of Nebraska has a personality and a sense of humor. In fact, they're willing to be a little bit self-deprecating because let's be honest, nobody has ever really thought about going to Nebraska. And they know that. And they're using it in their marketing, which is brilliant. ASOS is a UK-based clothing company, and they made a little bit of a mistake in one of their bags. You might see it there. They kind of had a little typo there where it says online. Well, most companies, I would argue, would not have even noticed this typo. And any company that did would have absolutely thrown away the bags, but not ASOS. ASOS decided instead to turn it into marketing gold in the form of a tweet that said, okay, we may have printed 17,000 bags with a typo. We're calling it a limited edition. Now feast your eyes at the bottom where you see 8,500 retweets and nearly 50,000 likes. I would argue that it was likely the best marketing tweet of the year for ASOS, and it was all based on a mistake that they decided to have a little fun with and poke fun at themselves. People got introduced to this brand because of it. They didn't know who ASOS was, but they see this tweet, they share it, they like it, and now you got all this brand awareness, all based on something that started off as a mistake. Okay, so we have learned how to be witty. Let's talk about being immersive. Immersive is about creating experiences that are fluid, that are consistent, that look like the same brand from the beginning to the end. There are also experiences that play off your emotions or one of your 5 senses. Let me give you some great examples. All right, one of my family's favorite movies is The Greatest Showman. It's the story of P.T. Barnum, and it is a musical. It has such great messages. It's a great, great movie if you haven't seen it. Now, true fact, I wake up every morning to the theme song from The Greatest Showman. It goes something like this. Whoa, boom, 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 whoa. Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for. Whoa. So you can see why it wakes me up, right? Now you might be asking, why do I wake up to the theme song of The Greatest Showman? And the reason is because this movie provided my family and me with the most immersive experience. Not the first time we saw the movie, but actually during a special second run that certain theaters had that was deemed a sing-along version. Now, normally when we go to the movie theater, we're asked to sit down, be quiet, turn off our phones, and they turn off the lights. Not in a sing-along version. It's completely the opposite. The lights are on, we can stand up, we can have our phones out, and we are encouraged to belt along the lyrics with the cast. It is so much fun. It is so engaging. It is so immersive that no wonder that soundtrack played in my house for months and months and months afterwards. And I still wake up to the theme song every morning. When's the last time that happened to you in a movie, right? The movie-going experience has certain expectations. This movie completely broke those expectations, and in the process, made it more memorable than almost any movie we've ever seen. Wugan Books is a bookstore in Taiwan, and you may notice something unique about it. They don't have any overhead lighting. In fact, the only lights in the store are little pin lights atop each and every book, giving the sensation that they're floating. In fact, if you told me this was from a Harry Potter movie, I would probably believe you, but it's not. It's from a bookstore in Taiwan. Now, what they found is that when people come into the store, they of course have to take a moment to let their eyes adjust to the darkness, but then they find that people focus a lot more on each individual book. They even visit genres that they wouldn't have normally visited if it was really bright in the store. They spend more time in the store. And most importantly, they buy more books. In fact, while Wugan Books only has about a quarter of the books that you would see in a typical Barnes & Noble in the United States, it is still a very successful and profitable bookstore. All because it decided it did not want to look like every single bookstore on planet Earth. Against the Grain is a bar in Louisville, Kentucky. You might know that Louisville and Kentucky is the home to the bourbon industry, but you also probably know, from the introduction that I was a bartender. So put all that together. And when I go to a bar and there is a drink that is called the Old Fashioned Experience, I'm the experience maker, I gotta try it, right? Well, this experience was awesome. It came with a shot of bourbon on the left there and a frozen ice sphere on the right that looks like a bloody eyeball, but isn't. What you're seeing there is a cherry that is actually frozen into the ice ball, along with all the other ingredients of an old fashioned, which are bitters, there's an orange peel, and I believe in order to make the effect work, there's probably some Cointreau or some other orange liqueur in there. You pour the liquor onto the ice cube, and you basically watch as the old-fashioned comes into being in front of you. And you can smell the everything mixing. You can see it mixing. You can taste it along the way if you want. The whole experience is incredibly immersive, and it is an experience. Again, all because Against the Grain decided that it didn't have to serve the same old-fashioned as everyone else in the world. In fact, the name is called Old Fashioned, but they made it into New Fashioned. All right, we've learned how to be witty and immersive. Let's talk about being shareable. Now, this is sort of the end game, right? Because we want people talking about us. But look, that doesn't happen by accident. There has to be intention behind creating shareable experiences. You've probably all been in the situation where you pull out your phone and you take a picture of it. You didn't even think about it, right? It was just an experience where you're like, I got to document this for life. Whether I'm going to share it with my family or I'm going to put it on social media, it doesn't matter. Or I just want it on my camera roll. It's that moment that we're trying to create for customers when we talk about shareable. Sorry, my clicker is so slow today. I'm going to move back to the keyboard. So when I was at Discover Card, one of my favorite campaigns that we did is for all new customers, we sent them a $5 Starbucks gift card. And you were looking at the entire package. It says, enjoy a $5 treat on us. No cross-selling, no upselling, no marketing at all. Literally just, we're happy to have you as a customer. Now, I did ask and receive, as the head of social media, permission to put a hashtag at the bottom of it, which was Discover Joy. And I remember the discussion. People asking, well, what if people don't know what to do with a hashtag? And I said, don't worry, those aren't the people we're talking to. They'll just ignore it. Now, sure enough, as predicted, we got thousands and thousands of people posting about their free Starbucks gift card. Because, hey, who doesn't want a free Starbucks gift card in the mail? And they used our hashtag and they tagged both Starbucks and Discover. Then something happened that I got to admit I did not predict. About a week later, we saw a whole nother slew of shares. This time from people who had actually gone and gotten their drink at Starbucks and thanked us again and tagged us again and used our hashtag again. The fact that they remembered a week later after they actually redeemed the gift card and still attributed Discover was incredible. This was a $5 gesture. It's not like we sent people $500 or $5,000, right? This wasn't earth-shaking or life-changing. It was $5. But man, was it a shareable experience. Another shareable experience comes from Sipsmith, a London-based dry gin that has figured out that the way in the US that we do liquor tastings is all wrong. If you've ever walked into a grocery store or a liquor store and you see that person standing behind the table and they give you a little plastic shot glass and they basically just want you to drink the liquor straight up. Now, I don't know about you, I haven't been in college for a while. That is no longer how I consume alcoholic beverages. And so Sipsmith decided to do something totally different that is both immersive and shareable. That's right. You can stack the items of Wise and make them even better. This is a pop-up tent at a summer festival in Chicago. When you walk in, the first thing you see is this bartender dressed to the nines in Sipsmith attire. His first question to me, what kind of tonic do you want in your gin and tonic? Now, as mentioned now twice, I used to be a bartender. I did not know there were multiple types of tonic. So he educated me. Well, there's Mediterranean tonic, and there's citrus tonic, and there's Indian tonic, and here's the different flavor profiles. All right, so I pick my tonic, and I'm ready for a squeeze of lime so I can go on my way. But no, he sends me over to the garnish bar, the Sipsmith garnish bar, which does have lime, but it also has lemon, and it has dried strawberries and rose petals and black peppercorn and herbs and spices and all these things that I had no idea one would put into a gin and tonic. I did the math for you. Between the tonic choices and the garnishes, there are over 1 billion combinations of gin and tonics that you can create using these ingredients. Now that's the immersive part, right? Because they've included me in this. I am part of this process because I'm selecting what my drink looks like. How did they make it shareable? The last stop along the line was to a table where they gave us a marker and a card and the tiniest little clothespin so we could name our drink. I named my drink the Lime Squeeze, and of course, I clipped it to my cup, and like everyone else there, before I took a sip of my drink, I placed it down on the table. I got out my camera, my phone, took a picture, shared it to social media, and then enjoyed my drink. That's right. They created a shareable moment by letting me name the drink. All of a sudden, it is mine and it is unique. So people love sharing unique. And so there's nowhere here that says, please follow us on Instagram and use our hashtag and don't forget to tag us. People just did it naturally because it was a naturally shareable experience. I took my son for his 15th birthday to Fleming's Steakhouse. And I have to admit, I was impressed when we walked in and the maitre d' handed him a birthday card hand signed by the staff. It's tough to impress a customer experience person. This one impressed me. But what was more fascinating was that during dinner, this card actually created some anticipation. In fact, it was my younger daughter that brought up, if they gave us a birthday card at the beginning, I'll bet they're going to do something really special after dinner. I'll bet we're not going to get a slice of cake and a candle, which got me thinking, is there anything wrong with a slice of cake and a candle? Not at all. It's a very nice gesture. The only problem with it is almost every restaurant in the world does it for people's birthdays. So that doesn't make it terribly shareable. Fleming's did not disappoint. Instead of that slice of cake and candle, we got a box of handmade chocolates sitting on a plate with happy birthday spelled out in cocoa powder. And instead of a candle, a sparkler. Because everyone knows a sparkler is cooler. Look at this picture taken on my very own iPhone. You can see the individual sparks. Now, nobody asked us to do this, but the 4 people around the table all pulled out their phones at the same time, took a picture of this glorious dessert. The two adults shared the picture to Facebook because that's what we adults do. The two kids shared the picture to Snapchat because that's what the kiddos do. And boom, Fleming's has 4 positive shares on one experience just because they didn't want to be like every other restaurant in the world that has a slice of cake and a candle. All right, you're telling me, great, Dan, but we're not a restaurant. All right, what I want you to do is look for a place in your experience where you deliver a candle. A candle's not bad. A slice of cake is not bad. It's just that everyone does it. Where can you take that candle and elevate it to a sparkler so that it's not something that everybody does, so that it stands out, so that it's cool, so that it's worth taking a picture of? All right. This is not an advertisement for my book. This is actually one last story to show that I practice what I preach and this works. When I released my book back in September, I wanted to do an influencer campaign. And just to add to the level of difficulty, I wanted to focus on customer experience influencers. You know, the people that are really hard to please and hard to impress, like me. So I decided if you're going to write a book, Dan, about creating remarkable experiences that people want to share, you can't just put it in a yellow envelope and send it to people. That is not a shareable experience. So one day my daughter comes home from a Girl Scout troop meeting and they've learned how to create simple circuits. So that got me thinking, what if we could put a real working light bulb into the front of these books? And that is exactly what we did. I hired the Girl Scouts to come in and put light bulbs into 100 books. They really lit up. You opened it up, there was a sticker inside that said, this is a very special limited edition out of 100, hand numbered 1 through 100. It was put into a box that had all these other light up items. There was a light up yo-yo and a necklace and a keychain. And you can see there's a light bulb shaped stress ball, all in this beautiful box, and the outside of the box looked like the cover of the book. I didn't ask anybody to share anything. They just did, over and over and over again. And in fact, some of them even created GIFs on the experience. One person created a 30-second video shot with a 360 camera with words going across the screen saying to buy Dan's book. I didn't ask anyone to do that. I just created an experience that I knew they would want to share. No one's ever gotten a book that lights up on the cover before. By the way, the cost of this to get the light into the book was about $1.25. In fact, the most expensive part was having to buy pizza for the Girl Scouts. All right, we've gotten to extraordinary. Now, this is the part where sometimes people say, Dan, I'm guessing this is where it's going to get expensive. Extraordinary sounds expensive. But remember, I said all of the examples are simple, practical, and inexpensive. Remember that the definition of extraordinary is simply a little bit better than ordinary. You don't have to be much better. But remember that we don't share ordinary. We don't share average. We don't share meh. So if you are any of those things, you got to do a little bit more to become extraordinary. Let me give you an example. Wait, who turned off the lights? Oh, this is actually the view from a hotel room that I was at recently. Because, you know, you wake up in the middle of the night, it's always darker than it is at home. You can't remember where you are. Can't remember what hotel you're in. When you travel a lot for speeches like I do, sometimes I don't remember what city I'm in. But alas, I need to use the facilities. I put my feet on the ground and a motion-activated light at the bottom of the nightstand illuminates the path to the bathroom. Are you kidding me? Like, I was worried about banging into the side of the bed. Yep, done that before. I couldn't remember where I plugged in my phone and I didn't want to trip on the cord. Yep, done that before too. And now, all of a sudden, there is this light illuminating the path to the bathroom so I can get there quickly and safely. I come back and I, being the customer experience guy that I am, don't care that it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I have got to see what is going on with this light. So I get down on all fours. And of course, I got to get the picture too for the presentation. Folks, this is a stick-on light that is probably 50 cents at your local Home Depot or Lowe's. This is not high technology here, and yet it solved a real problem and created an extraordinary experience. In fact, the best part about this is that in order for the hotel to have figured this out, they either had to have done a great job listening to their customers, or somebody had to actually have stayed in the hotel room themselves. You know, we talk about getting into the shoes of our customers. These guys got into the slippers of their customers and created an extraordinary experience. Chewy, an online pet supplies company, is known for extraordinary experiences. And so many people have great Chewy stories, including when unfortunately a pet passes. Chewy is known for sending flowers to the grieving family. But I want to tell you a different story about Chewy that I thought was incredible. And it has to do with a customer service email that I believe is the greatest email in the history of email or customer service. I think that's saying a lot. Here's the story. Mariangel is a customer of Chewy's, and she has a cat named Roma. Now, that is not Roma in the picture. That's actually Caboodles, which is my cat. But Mariangel's cat is a long-haired cat, and she bought litter that she felt did not work very well for long-haired cats. So she left a negative review on Chewy's website. Now, mind you, this is not a Chewy product. They're just the distributor like an Amazon. But she wanted to warn other long-haired cat owners to maybe look elsewhere for the litter. She leaves a review and she thinks that's it. The next day, she gets the greatest customer service email in the history of customer service or email. Dear Mariangel, we're sorry that the litter did not work out for you. We've gone ahead and refunded your money. Now, Mariangel did not ask for a refund. We also researched other litters and have found 4 that we think might work better for your long-haired cat, and here are links to all of them. Please give our regards to Roma. That's right, Chewy knows the name of Mariangel's cat. We have a furry wall of fame, and we would love to put a picture of her up on the wall if you would share one. We're always here for you. Many whiskers, Stephanie H. Now, let me ask you, when Mariangel gets this email, do you think she is more or less likely to shop at Chewy again after having a negative experience? She, of course, is one of Chewy's biggest fans. And that's why she told me this story so that I could share it in my presentation and my book and my podcast. Here's the amazing part, folks. I'm 99% sure that that email is a template. Dear so-and-so, we're sorry that you didn't like such and such. We've gone ahead and refunded your money. Here are 4 other examples of such and such that might be better. Please give our love to so-and-so. We'd love to put them up on the furry wall of fame. We're always here for you, many whiskers, Stephanie H. This is a template that they have turned into one of the most personalized emails I have ever seen. This isn't hard. This isn't expensive. Everybody can do this.
One of my absolute favorite customer experiences as a customer happened for me at Children's Hospital. I was with my youngest son and my wife. My youngest son was having surgery, which is, fills me with a ton of anxiety and a ton of fear and makes me a ball of nerves. And I'm expected in the dynamic of my family to also be emotionally strong support for everybody else. So we get through the whole surgery. You sit there for hours just waiting, nervous. Then you take down a whole bunch of information, what the outpatient care is like, and you want to make sure that you don't forget any of it. My son is fussy, in pain, crying. And all the way out, I go into the restroom and wash my hands. I'm washing my hands and I look up and I see on the mirror, "Hang in there, Dad." And it just felt like at the perfect time, somebody put their hand on my shoulder and was support for me. Someone I didn't know, because I knew they thought about me and they thought about my experience and what I was going through. In the first moment of the entire day where I could be vulnerable just within myself. And I just thought that is such a thoughtful exercise that somebody went through to figure out where was the perfect touch point to put a hand on my shoulder.
OMG. Every time I hear that, I get the chills. What an extraordinary experience. And all it was a sign on a mirror. But you could hear the emotion in this guy's voice. You could hear the struggle that he was going through, this idea that he had to remain strong, this idea that he's got the first moment where he can be by himself. And there is a message for him that looks like it's been written just for him at the very moment that he needed it. Do we think he's going to be more or less loyal to Children's National Hospital after this? Amazing, right? And didn't cost anything. All right, this is what you think it is. It is a urinal. It is at the USS Midway in San Diego, California. And yes, that is a soccer goal at the bottom and a ball that's hanging on a string so that it moves when you. All right, I'm going to stop right there so as not to offend anyone. I think you get the point, though. If somebody can create an extraordinary experience out of a urinal, I am very confident that you can do it in your business. Extraordinary experiences can happen anywhere. You just have to dream them up. All right, I wouldn't be doing my job if I left you just wise to customer experience. You got to be wiser than the competition. So, bonus letter R is about being responsive. After all, as we get more people talking about us, we got to be part of that conversation, right? Otherwise, that's just hanging out there. Like if I get off stage after a keynote and I walk past someone and they say, Dan, that was the greatest speech of the whole event, and I just keep walking past them, how are they going to feel about me? I don't think they're going to like me anymore. This is what happens on social media every day. Millions of people say positive things about companies and then don't hear back. What a missed opportunity. And of course, I always advocate to respond to complaints as well, because people who complain do so because they care. They actually want you to fix the problem. And they're giving you an opportunity to keep them as a customer. Let's look at some examples of being responsive. First, though, 82% of customers say that they expect an immediate response when they have a sales or marketing question. And that jumps to 90% for a customer service question. People, this is all of your customers, basically, that are expecting immediate responses. You have to be there. Southwest was there when Taylor Kenny tweeted at them, "Help, my friend is in a wedding on Saturday in Costa Rica, but she left her bridesmaid dress here in Houston. Can we get her dress on flight 1734 tomorrow? Hashtag worth a try, hashtag best customer service." A little kissing up doesn't hurt either. Southwest sees this tweet, by the way, doesn't know whether Taylor Kenny's even a customer, and says, we like where your head's at. Mind sending us a DM with her info. Now, in comes Philip, who has nothing to do with this conversation whatsoever, but is interesting because he's been observing it, asking, did this work? Taylor says it totally did. The dress flies out tomorrow morning. Now that is some customer service. Taylor has about 150 followers on Twitter, but take a look at the 1,581 likes that she got on just that tweet. And of course, Southwest turned this into public relations gold, posting pictures all over the place. You could track the dress. I believe it was hashtag track the dress by looking at the radar of the plane, but the little plane indicator had been replaced by a dress. They had all of these employees throughout their organization handling the dress, taking pictures of it, making it into this big thing. This is being responsive, and man, did they get so much great press because of it. When I was at Discover, one of my favorite tweets that we got was from Rob. "Haven't checked my mail in a few days. There are 3 offers for the Discover It card: persistence or lack of coordination." Our response, "Rob, we must really be excited to have you apply. DM us with your name and we'll take you off the list." Rob writes back, "At Discover, kudos for the prompt response time. Okay, I'll bite, mostly because of your response, Amy. Hashtag great service." Wait, what? In the span of 13 minutes, Rob went from complaining about Discover to being its newest customer. Are you kidding me? All because Discover was responsive. Now, full disclosure, this is a pretty old example. It's like 7 or 8 years old. And at some point, I realized that I never closed the loop. So I went back to Rob's initial tweet, the one that says, "Haven't checked my mail in a few days." Yep, it's still there. And I responded with my own Twitter handle at @dgingiss. I said, "Rob, I know this is a crazy question. You wrote this tweet years ago, but I used to work at Discover. I'm just curious, did you ever get a card?" Rob wrote me back in 5 minutes, "Still a happy customer." 8 years later, Discover has a loyal customer because they were responsive to a semi-sarcastic tweet. This stuff works. Any fans of This Is Us in the audience? NBC's This Is Us will recognize this scene. It is one of the most critical scenes in the series. No spoilers here, but I will tell you that this is the main character, Jack. And in this very important scene that ran after the Super Bowl to record ratings, the antagonist is that poor defenseless Crockpot in the back. Now, when this episode ran, Crockpot did not even have a Twitter handle. And they woke up to thousands of tweets like this one from Kayla. Thanks to NBC's This Is Us for crushing my soul week after week. Additionally, I'll no longer be making crockpot chili after last night's episode. Crockpot gets on the horn and responds fast. We're heartbroken over last night's episode too. Kayla, we're innocent until proven guilty. Since the 70s, we've been provided families with quality and safe products. Here comes my favorite part because they clearly know Kayla's generation. Ask your parents if you don't believe us. DM us with any questions. Anyone want to guess what Kayla did next? I'll bet you didn't guess this. I apologize for what I said when I was in an emotional state. I could never live without my beloved Crockpot. Hashtag Crockpot is innocent. All because Crockpot was responsive. Duke Energy is proactively responsive. They get out in front of storms that are coming and tell people that they might lose power. And then when the power goes out, they give regular updates on Facebook and Twitter. You know what happens when they do this? People trust their energy company. They actually don't call customer service to say that their power is out because they already know that Duke Energy is on the case. This is a brilliant way to keep close with your customers, provide an extraordinary experience, be responsive, and also reduce costs at the same time. Final example comes from Darren Revel, who used to be Revel, who used to be an ESPN reporter. He talks about NBA All-Star Stephen Curry receiving a handwritten letter from 9-year-old Riley Morrison. Now, I know you can't read the letter, so I'll summarize it for you. It basically says, hi, my name is Riley. I know you have a daughter named Riley. I know you're a big supporter of women's athletics. Here's the problem. I wanted to get one of your shoes, but they're not available in girls' sizes. Can you fix this? He writes back and says, Riley, you're absolutely right. I've talked to Under Armour. We're going to get this fixed immediately. I'd like to have you get the first shoe off of the assembly line. And also because International Women's Day is coming up, I'd love for you to work on a little project with me. Now you can see at the bottom here, 46,000 retweets, 220,000 likes. You got to be kidding me. And here is 9-year-old Riley Morrison, who autographed the sock liner that she created for the new girls' shoe. She makes the autograph for the NBA All-Star. Under Armour turns it into marketing gold. So if you want to get people talking more positively about your brand, about your products, about your company, you have to be wiser, witty, immersive, shareable, extraordinary, and responsive. Now, if you liked what you saw here today and you want more, I offer a free 10-day customer experience challenge. All you got to do is take a picture of this QR code with your phone and open up the website or visit improvemycx.com. Every day for 10 days, you're going to get a 90-second video from me. It's one of those whiteboard videos with the little hands scribbling stuff. It's really fun. Grab the team because it is going to have daily tactical things that you can do to improve your customer experience. It's a great team building activity. It's completely free. Have fun with it. Also, as Donna mentioned before, I do have the Experience Maker book out. If you liked these stories, many of them are in the book, plus tons and tons more. It gets a whole lot deeper, including into how to implement Wiser at your organization. I want to thank you so much for being here today. It has been my honor. I am excited to hear your questions, and I'm going to hand it back to the ladies. Thank you so much.
Well, Dan, you really, I don't know about you ladies, but I was slack-jawed and impressed, and you told us there was going to be some excitement in there, and you singing was definitely not something I was anticipating. I think Kate has a secret Broadway ambition, so I think the two of you might be able to put something on together.
All right, let's do it.
So questions from the audience. We have a couple that have come up. Is there anything from my esteemed panel before Donna, I feel like you were going to burst out of your chair. Go ahead.
I have like, again, pages and pages. But what I love about this, Dan, is, simple, practical, inexpensive. But what I also love about it, and you just alluded to it with the CX challenge, is this is something we get our whole team involved in. This isn't necessarily a marketing initiative or a sales initiative. And I think that sometimes as the leaders of our organizations, we lack perspective. So you talked about creating, in the book, you talked about having a customer success team. Talk to us a little bit about the steps we take to implement that.
Yeah, it's a great point, Donna. In reality, what happens in organizations is we try to make customer experience everybody's job, and then unfortunately it ends up no one's job. And that's why we do need a single organization. In the B2B world, it's usually called customer success. In other companies, it's called customer experience. These are the people that are going to be able to look at the entire customer journey from beginning to end, have that 30,000-foot view, and then kind of fly in where there's problems and help to solve them. But the reality is that customer experience is everyone's job. And no matter what role you play, even if you never talk to a customer, you likely impact their journey and their experience. So think about somebody in the finance department. Well, my job is just to send out invoices. Yeah, that's true, but the experience of receiving an invoice is usually not very fun. Plus, maybe you don't accept the kind of payment method that I want to make, or maybe your terms in your invoices are overly onerous. The point is that the experience of receiving and paying for an invoice is an important part of the experience. And if the finance person doesn't see that, they might make decisions that end up negatively affecting customers in the name of making a few more dollars. The best example of that, of course, is the airline industry, where I imagine some like Mr. Burns looking man going like this saying, well, what if we charged people for baggage? And, someone saying, well, we've never done that before. For 50 years, people have been able to check baggage for free. And Mr. Burns is like, exactly. And then they create these fees that everybody hates, and everybody hates the airlines, right? Because there was no corresponding what's in it for the customer or how's the customer going to feel. It was just simply a money grab. So I look at every person in an organization having a role in customer experience, but then the best organizations have a team that leads them.
Great answer. I have so many questions I could ask, but this is about the audience. So Vicki, over to you.
Well, one of these questions that I thought was very powerful was, in your bio, we talk about that you have a B2B experience, but a lot of these concepts that you were talking about are very B2C. How do they translate, especially when your product or company or service has no physical product?
So great question. I get this question a lot. And let me tell you, I like to tell it straight, okay? B2B folks, you are not that different. You are not as different as you think you are. In fact, I've worked at B2Bs, and right at the end of the day, we're not selling to an edifice. We're not selling to an ivory tower. We're selling to a person, to a human being. There's a buyer at the other end. And guess what? That buyer is a consumer. And so whether you like it or not, whether it's fair or not, you're being compared to that last great experience that they've had with any company. If they had an amazing dinner last night out with their significant other and the service was impeccable and the food was great and they got a sparkler with dessert, that is what you're being compared against. And so keeping that in mind, you actually can use a lot of the B2C fundamentals of customer experience in a B2B environment. I talk about this a little bit in the book, but really quickly, I think one of the two most important places that you can look if you're a B2B. Number one is when you sign the contract. Okay, almost every B2B company has some form of celebration internal. We ring a bell, we have a Slack channel, we pat each other on the back, we go out for drinks. The problem is we don't invite the customer to that celebration. So that customer has just signed their life away, some big contract, and they're sitting there thinking, man, I hope I made the right decision or my career's on the line. They're fearing buyer's remorse. And the company's off celebrating without them. So bring the customer in, celebrate, put your proverbial arm around them and say, you just made the best career decision of your life. We are going to take care of you and we're going to have a massive amount of success together. And now that buyer is like, oh, I made a great decision. Very different, right? The other thing that we do after that contract gets signed, we almost immediately punch the customer from the salesperson who they like, who they've met, who they've established a relationship with, over to a different team, sometimes called customer success, sometimes called account management, etc. Imagine if you were about to marry somebody. You propose, they say yes, you walk down the aisle, and then you get to the end, and the person says, just kidding, I'd like you to meet my associate, Steve. He's the person you're actually going to marry. You'd be like, what? So that's what we do to customers, is we send them off to a different person after they spent all this time establishing, the salesperson spends all this time establishing a relationship. So my suggestion there is that you have your salespeople stick around for at least the first 90 days. They don't have to attend every meeting. They just have to let the customer know that if anything happens that is not what they expected, if anything happens that is not what the salesperson promised, that the salesperson is still there for them, that they can call and they will take care of it. And that gesture alone is going to start your customer off with a far better experience than they have today.
I think we could go on for another hour with questions, but I know Donna's giving me it's time to go. Look, Donna, do you want to wrap up and talk about our next speaker? And
yes, and Dan, this was great, and I encourage all of you to take advantage of the offers that Dan is giving you here today, and read the book and go down this simple, practical, inexpensive road that will lead to referrals. And we all know you're going to get a much higher close ratio on those referrals than you are going to get from those SEO leads. So it's time well invested. Thank you, Dan. Fun, entertaining, brilliant. So yes, April 19th. One of my role in this this roundtable is I do help to find speakers, and I come up with new ways to do it. And I found a top 10 TED Talk list for salespeople. And from that, I found this amazing Dr. Terry Wu, who is joining us on April 19th to talk about how to outsmart your competition with neuroscience. I just dropped the link in the chat window for you to register today. Again, it's a live only event for copyright purposes. So again, thank you for joining us at this month's Sales and Marketing Roundtable. Kate, thank you. Vicki, thank you. Rachel, we know you're there in spirit. And Dan, great presentation. Thank you all very much. Have a great day, everyone.